So cold out here in the car. I've been uninspired to do car videos the last couple days. I don't feel that inspired today either, but inspired enough to come out. But not because of the cold, more so just because I felt quiet inwardly in terms of wanting to talk about this stuff. And I reminded me of so many times in my life, especially in regards to my so-called spiritual practice or anybody's so-called spiritual practice, where I think at least for many of us who, would say they're on a spiritual path or take a spiritual approach to life, silence really is, the way a lot of the time, silence is often the best teacher. And I think if you are into different spiritual ideas or approaches, you probably recognize that, or at least a lot of people do. Again, I'm saying all this generally. This, is just what I've observed. But I thought I would come out to the car and make this video today because I wanted, I guess, to remind people of that. I've been very surprised because I've been into spirituality in one form or another since I was, a teenager. And I didn't discover these law of attraction ideas, law of assumption ideas, manifesting ideas, whatever you want to call them. I didn't discover them until I was in my early to mid 30s, really. I've been very surprised when it comes to these manifesting ideas, how they're presented, how much people want to talk about them in a way, and yet how people don't want to become quiet and go within to actually apply them in their lives. Because this seems almost just like an intuitive part of the process that almost all of us have to do. Neville famously said, now we go into the silence. Now let us go into the silence. He wasn't kidding when he said that, right? I think when we become quiet, we give ourselves space. And giving ourselves space to not judge, the rational thoughts going through our head, or not to judge how we feel in a self-judgmental negative way, but just give ourselves space to just be here, right? Like we often talk about. And I'll put a video above about just being, that I did a couple weeks ago. When we give ourselves space to just be here like this, it's more open. You could say it feels more free, I guess, in a way. And I think it also naturally, when we stop judging ourselves in, this more normal self-judgmental way, but allow ourselves more openness, more space, it naturally allows our imagination to flourish. It allows our imagination to become unbound and not hindered by the normal constraints of conscious everyday life that a lot of us have. And, this goes hand in hand with famous manifesting sayings like, your imagination creates your reality, right? You can give yourself space, and it allows your imagination to work with you in a more effective way. But when we do it, in my opinion, it's not that we go in with the aim of like doing a certain thing, because that's not just being and just allowing yourself to be here and giving yourself space. It's more like we sink into the space, into the allowing ourselves just to be here. And by doing that, imaginatively, we become more comfortable, more malleable, more creative. Naturally, that happens by just giving ourselves space. And giving ourselves space in this way is like, we can throw out most of these law of attraction ideas, actually, concepts, and it's still the same thing. It's like people like to sit down in nature and contemplate, or, do something they find very relaxing, driving in the car, listening to music, because it lets their mind wander in a very freeing way. Imaginatively, it is very open. And it's basically the same thing as what a lot of these manifesting teachings are talking about. We do this naturally. But in the manifesting community, the online space particularly, whether it be YouTube or Reddit or TikTok or whatever, this is just not a sexy enough approach. It's the real approach for a lot of us. I mean, it's a natural, fundamental part of living, part of the creative process of processing things. But just allowing yourself space, it's not that sexy. It's not like, manifest your romantic partner overnight, or manifest $100,000 in 10 days, or if you're to do those things, ironically, manifest your partner overnight or manifest $100,000 in 10 days, in all likelihood, if you're able to utilize a technique in such a way, it's because you've given your imagination space. The technique has allowed your imagination to freely move and create in such a way. But we think it's the technique that does it. And it's not the technique. It's you allowing yourself space. And of course, allowing ourselves space is usually not nearly as dramatic as that. As you allow yourself space, and then you manifest this huge outward demonstration the next day, or a week from now, or a month from now. It's usually not as dramatic as that. It can be, of course. I'm not denying that. But it's usually, for most of us, much more like you allow yourself space to allow yourself space because it feels good. And imaginatively, it opens you up. And you know what's most important to you in the outer world and what you want to focus on. And you allow yourself space to be here and to feel the freedom and the peace of being in the present. And imaginatively, that also propels you forward more into what you want in your outer reality. And gradually, your outer reality often changes for the better. And you get more of what you want by doing this, by providing yourself space. Again, you can know nothing about these law of attraction teachings, and this still happens to you anyway. This is the miracle of giving yourself room, of allowing yourself to just be. And even though it's not sexy, it's not usually that dramatic or exciting, I'm still, I would say, shocked. Not just surprised, but shocked that more people don't discuss it in the manifesting community in a somewhat serious way, the way we are now in the car. Because this is what's happening. This is what's important for at least a lot of us trying to implement these ideas into our life, and more importantly, just for the present moment, just feel better. That's why I share this stuff. I found it very gratifying in my own life, and I find it very gratifying to share it with people. And I know a lot of you watching this understand exactly what I'm saying when I say allow yourself space. Give yourself space. And I know that a lot of you watching this know that when you give yourself space, you recognize I'm already okay. I'm already fine. Really, when I give myself space, I realize I'm already perfectly good. And there's nothing I truly need to do to change. I'm already free. And that's a wonderful thing. So if you'd like help with this, or if you have questions, I can be reached at info@radicalcounselor.com. And I hope you enjoy giving yourself space.